Hi team, Richard Greer here, CP coach. We're down here, I've just managed to corner Jacob Lamont, who's one of our team CP coaches, and we've been talking ultra running. And my first question, Jacob, is how many ultra runs have you done?
Official ones, probably tens of dozens.
I'm not sure how many that is, it's lots.
And the actual ultra distance, probably hundreds of times.
Yeah. And the miler, the big job, how many times have you been
3.
across 160 Ks?
Yeah, 3.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
That's a long way, but a long time as well on your feet. That's epic. So thinking about training and how do you break that down? You must have learnt lots over the years of running ultras.
Yeah.
What are your sort of key points in regards to training? So share.
So train race specific. So if it's a really hilly course or if it's a flat course, don't train opposite. Try and, especially in your main blocks, I suggest try and get out there and run a trail that's exactly similar as you can get.
Yeah, really try to simulate what you're going to be up against. So if it's really hilly, that downhill, your quads can cope with the downhill.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, nice.
So that's the main point that probably a lot of people may just think, oh, I'll just do a lot of running around the block, but it's common sense.
Yeah, cool. And then you talked about that main block. How? Tell me more about that. What is the main block? What do you mean by that?
So that's, I'm talking about like, say your long runs, which are generally weekends because that works out best for most people. And I kind of work on the 80-20% rule.
Okay.
So
what's that?
80% easy and 20% speed, strength, kind of pushing your kind of cardio.
So it's not all just slow running. It's not all just going time on your feet. It's actually we want to change it and actually run well sometimes as well.
Yeah, and that speed work is really good because it actually forces you to run actually properly. You can get in bad habits doing a lot of slow running, and you really practice that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, cool. Yeah. Okay. And then the training block. How long should I be training for an ultra?
First one, if it's something like 100 mile, you've got to have a good base already.
Yeah.
This is a good suggestion, and I'd probably start a year out.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. For me, I start 3 to 4 months.
Okay. That's my focus. That's what I'm going to do. Yeah. I'm going to get stuck into that for 3 or 4 months. Yeah. Cool. Yep, nice work. And how do you focus on your training? Like, do you do because obviously, hey, we've got to run 100 miles, we've got to run 50 Ks, sort of thing. How do you break that down? Is it using that? Is it using time? What do you do for that?
So I like to practice, pretty much simulate what we're doing in that race. So a lot of the time I'll train with poles for a lot of races with a lot of climbing.
Yeah. Why are poles useful?
It gives your legs a break.
Yeah,
it's using another part of your muscles as well. And
so do you use them, prefer them on the uphill, the downhill, both?
Up.
Yeah.
Normally I'll, depending on how long the downhill will be, I'll store them if it's a long run, or I'll hold them in my hand and down. Some people like them on the down if they're really steep, just to give you a bit of stability.
Yeah, it's another point of contact. Maybe if it's slippery, you can use them almost like ski poles to run around them a bit as well, to lower a bit of impact. But you enjoy the downhill running. That's sort of what your key thing is, isn't it? Yeah. Where you make some time.
Yeah. Definitely not an uphill runner.
Yeah. You fall down hills. Yeah, cool. Yeah. So you generally can cope with that. Your quads are strong enough. And do you train the downhill running?
Yes. Yeah. So that's it's a thing that a lot of people tend not to do much of, because it does put a lot of load.
Mm-hmm. And you've got to be careful with that too, don't you? Like force through your joints and things like that to make sure you're strong enough to be able to cope.
Yeah. So my main block, in the middle of my running, I'll do a lot of constant long running downhill, but it won't be going for it.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'll put a lot more speed on the downhill nearer the end of my training.
Yeah. Okay. So you do a bit of a block of actually running downhill fast.
Yeah.
But that's once you're strong enough to be able to cope with it after all those sort of long runs as well. Yeah.
But if a lot of people leave that out of their running, and it's the biggest thing that can hurt you on the day in a long ultra is not having that in your legs, the downhill.
Nice, good stuff. Right, so any other key tips for me?
I do little things like a lot of 100 mile, 100 Ks, you may be going through the night, so I do a few practices to see what you feel like through the night.
Check your lights?
Yeah, I train, checking your lights, and it's also to for you to test out your gear. Generally, it could be colder at night, so if you're not used to running in the jacket that you've got, you'll soon find out if it's like chafing, how your pack holds with the correct amount of gear that you're supposed to have for that race, and things like that. Like if you don't go into a race not testing that, it's a bad news on the day.
And you've got to think about what are all the things that could actually derail my race and me not finishing and achieving what I want to achieve. Yep. And going back to that training side of things, if you're getting up to simulating what your race is, because that's what you talked about, do you think about, okay, well, I'm going to do the distance maybe, but not one day, but maybe across the course of a weekend? Is that something that you do? How do you manage that?
Yeah, so you could, some people like to do like what's called a pyramid or sandwich training.
So what does that mean?
So you could actually split your race distance into three and sandwich like a part of the short one on one day, and then one in the middle, and then a longer one in the middle, and then one after.
Yep. So that's a really meaty sandwich, that one?
Yeah.
Would you do it the other way around with a lot of bread and not much meat?
Well, you could. Yeah.
Have you? Well, what do you prefer?
I don't do the sandwich run so much. I tend to do a 2-day block in the weekend because it just suits life. Yeah, exactly. So I tend to do the bigger one on the Saturday, but I'm talking we could do a 40k on plus on a Saturday and then do 35 the next day. So it's not that much different. It's quite a big block.
So you're turning up to Sunday tired already and getting started. How are those creaky joints and muscles feeling getting out the door?
You wouldn't you kind of ease into it, like maybe 10% extra each week is a good goal, but it's good to learn to run slightly fatigued because that's what's going to happen in the race. But you don't want to be go into a point where you're constantly fatigued. And then so basically listen to your body, and you can't beat yourself up about having a bad day. And then you just move on from it. You listen to your body and know, well, maybe this weekend I should just rest a little bit and then pick it up again.
That's right. Because the worst thing that you can do, again, training breaks the body down. If we give ourselves some time, we're going to recover and be better. So especially when you're doing that type of mileage, you talked about doing 70 Ks across the course of a weekend. I think currently do 70 Ks of course of maybe a couple of months. So we wouldn't build up that fast, but you've got to listen to your body. It's tough.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. It's a key, and it'll soon tell you. Later on, when you get better at it, it's probably easier to get into a point where you are pushing the limit, but you've got to. It's all part of the learning process.
Yeah, nice. Good stuff, Jacob. Thanks for sharing. And we're in the exactly right place for recovery in the cafe. So maybe it's another coffee, is it?
Yeah.
Well done.
Could be.